Have you ever noticed how easily most people are shaken? A glance, a rude word, a minor delay, and suddenly their mood shifts. Their peace collapses under the weight of something trivial. That's because most people live at the mercy of the external world, their inner state a direct reflection of their outer circumstances. But the Stoics, those ancient masters of the mind, saw things differently. They understood a profound truth that has echoed through the centuries: true strength doesn't come from changing the world, it comes from changing the way you face it. Life will never stop testing you. There will always be noise, pressure, disrespect, and discomfort. You can't control the storm, but you can learn to walk through it untouched. That is the essence of the "nothing bothers me" mindset. And no, it's not about faking emotionless indifference or building a cold, impenetrable wall around your heart. It's about mastering your internal world so deeply that nothing outside of you can decide how you feel. Imagine this scenario: someone insults you in front of a crowd. The expected reaction is anger, defense, some form of emotional outburst that validates the provocateur and entertains the onlookers. But what happens if you simply breathe, remain composed, and walk away without a word? The insult loses its sting. The crowd remembers your calm more than the provocation. And the one who tried to shake you is left confused, powerless, their attempted blow landing on empty air. That is silent strength. That is Stoicism in action. The truth is, people can't bother you unless you hand them the ability to do so. When you react, you reveal your weak points. You show the world what gets under your skin, what buttons to press to get a response. But when you remain still, when you don't flinch, you become unpredictable, unreadable, untouchable. You move with a kind of inner clarity that commands respect without demanding it. The great Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius once wrote in his private journal, a collection of thoughts we now know as meditations: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He didn't say life would be fair. He didn't promise that people would treat you kindly. He simply stated that the power lies in how you respond. If you let circumstances dictate your peace, you have surrendered your most valuable asset. But if you train your mind to remain calm, to be the steady anchor in the swirling seas of life, no one can take that from you. Consider the great leaders and thinkers in history, the ones we admire most not for their flashiness but for their resilience. They weren't reactive. They didn't spend their energy explaining themselves or fighting every challenge head-on. They stayed composed. They moved with purpose. Their power wasn't loud, it was rooted. They mastered the art of being unaffected, not by caring less, but by caring more about what truly matters: their principles, their mission, their inner peace. You can start practicing this mindset right now. Begin with the habit of pausing. Every time something irritates you, no matter how small, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Does this moment deserve my reaction? Most of the time, the answer will be a resounding no. What someone said about you, a delay in traffic, a rude comment online, these things don't change your values, your path, or your potential. They are just noise, fleeting and insignificant in the grand scheme of your life. Another powerful practice is visualization. Picture yourself walking through life with unshakable composure. See yourself receiving criticism without blinking, facing chaos without tension, losing nothing of your inner balance. Do this enough, and your nervous system begins to believe it. You stop flinching at things that once unraveled you. You begin to live from a deeper, more grounded place. Think of a man walking through a crowded marketplace. People shout, argue, and try to pull him into their drama. But he walks forward, eyes calm, steps steady. He knows where he's going. He doesn't explain himself. He doesn't respond to every voice. And because of that, others make way. That is presence. That is unshakable confidence. The mindset of "nothing bothers me" isn't cold, it's clear. It doesn't disconnect you from emotion, it anchors you in values that are stronger than emotion. You stop being reactive and start being deliberate. You learn to channel your energy into action, not argument, into progress, not proving. And when you fail, as you inevitably will, you don't spiral. You don't collapse under self-doubt or shame. You see failure for what it is: data, adjustment, feedback. You observe it, you adapt, and you keep moving. That's what separates the calm from the chaotic. The calm don't internalize every loss, they refine their method and continue the mission. Over time, this mindset becomes a way of life, not just something you practice in moments of stress, but something that shapes every interaction. You walk into a room, and people feel it. You don't have to speak for others to listen. Your energy says enough. You don't chase attention, you earn respect through your presence alone. Let others be loud. Let them overreact. Let them waste their peace on things that don't matter. You're here to move differently, quietly, intentionally. You're here to embody a kind of strength that can't be disturbed by noise or opinion. Because when you reach that place, when you truly act as if nothing bothers you, you gain an edge most never understand. And that edge is only the beginning. Section 1: The Power of Emotional Detachment. Have you ever noticed how the strongest people you know don't flinch when chaos erupts around them? They don't lash out when insulted. They don't spiral when things fall apart. They pause. They breathe. And then they respond, not with fury, but with clarity. That's not because they're numb or devoid of feeling. It's because they've trained themselves to stay rooted even in the storm. This is the essence of emotional detachment, not suppression, but self-mastery. Detachment doesn't mean you feel nothing, it means you're no longer a prisoner of every feeling that rises and falls within you. You still experience joy, sadness, frustration, even fear, but you don't let any of them drive the car. You sit in the driver's seat, and your emotions ride along quietly in the back. When someone tries to provoke you, shouting, accusing, trying to stir your anger, do you take the bait, or do you smile inwardly, recognizing that their power over you only exists if you hand it to them? Emotional detachment begins when you stop giving every passing emotion the keys to your life. Most people live in a state of constant reaction. A rude comment, and they flare up. A setback, and they crumble. But the Stoic trains his mind to remain unbothered, not out of coldness, but out of clarity. He knows his peace is sacred, and he refuses to sacrifice it for momentary conflict. Imagine a man who loses everything. His business collapses, his relationships fall apart, and from the outside, it looks like the end. But inside, something different is happening. He doesn't beg the world to fix itself. He looks inward and reminds himself, I still have control over how I show up. I still have command over how I think. That mindset becomes his anchor. And from that inner clarity, he begins again, stronger, sharper, quieter. This is the strength of detachment. When you don't identify with every loss or every high, you move through life with far more freedom and resilience. Think about how often goals are abandoned, not because they were impossible, but because emotions got in the way. A burst of doubt, a wave of fear, a surge of frustration after a single failure. These emotions aren't facts, they're just passing weather. But if you let them control you, they become walls that block your path. The Stoic learns to observe his emotions the way a sailor observes the sea. He doesn't panic at every wave, he navigates, using the winds and currents to his advantage. To practice this, start by doing nothing when something provokes you. Not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. When someone insults you, pause. Notice what arises inside you. Is it anger? Is it shame? And then ask, does this actually affect the course of my life, or is this just noise? 9 times out of 10, it's just noise. And by refusing to react, you take away their power. That is the quiet win no one sees, but it builds something unshakable inside you. Now, here's something few people realize: detachment is made easier when you have a clear purpose. When your vision for your life is strong, the small things stop shaking you. You're less likely to get pulled into arguments, less tempted to prove yourself, because your eyes are fixed on something higher, something more meaningful. And when your energy is devoted to that purpose, you naturally withdraw it from things that don't deserve it. You protect your attention like it's sacred, because it is. Most people panic. They get dragged into arguments. They overreact. And then they wonder why they feel exhausted and lost. But the one who masters detachment stays calm, not because the world is calm, but because they are. They don't seek approval. They don't waste their breath justifying themselves. Their presence alone speaks louder than words ever could. This kind of strength is rare, and when you begin to embody it, people take notice, even if they don't understand it. Remember, emotional detachment isn't about becoming robotic, it's about becoming deliberate. You still feel everything, but you don't obey it all. You decide what deserves your energy. You decide what moves you. Your emotions serve your purpose, not the other way around. And once you reach this level of inner control, very little can shake you. You become like a tree with deep roots. Winds may blow, storms may rage, but you stand firm, quiet, grounded, and unyielding. So, how do you build this? You train. You pause when things get hard. You breathe when others explode. You remind yourself that your response is always your responsibility, that your calm is not a reaction to the world but a commitment to your path. It's not easy, but it is simple. And with every moment you choose stillness over chaos, detachment over drama, and clarity over emotion, you become stronger. And that strength, the strength of mastering yourself, is the foundation for something even more powerful. Because once you no longer waste energy reacting to everything, you can focus that energy toward what truly matters. Section 2, The Superpower of Mindful Indifference. Why do we feel the need to care about everything? Why do the opinions of strangers, the judgments of coworkers, and the silent expectations of society weigh so heavily on our minds? From an early age, we're conditioned to believe that our worth is tied to how deeply we react to what others think. If you care more, you must be more sincere. If you respond to everything, you must be engaged. But the truth is, the more you react, the more control you give away. The Stoics understood something we often forget: most things simply don't matter. Not in the long run. Not when viewed through the lens of a well-lived life. The next time you catch yourself overthinking a conversation, a piece of criticism, or a minor embarrassment, ask yourself this one simple question: will this matter in 5 years? If the answer is no, then it's not worth your energy today. Mindful indifference is not apathy, it's not coldness, it's clarity. It's the wisdom to know where your attention belongs and the courage to withdraw it from things that don't deserve it. When someone makes an unfair comment, most people jump to defend themselves. They explain, they argue, they retaliate, and they exhaust themselves over words that will be forgotten by morning. But the one who has trained their mind pauses. They understand the difference between defending the truth and defending their ego. And when the ego is silent, dignity speaks louder. Imagine you're criticized in a public setting. The average person immediately responds, justifying their actions, trying to win the crowd back to their side. But the grounded person, the one who knows who they are, doesn't flinch. They don't need the crowd to know their worth. That silence, that calm refusal to be baited, says more than any rebuttal ever could. And ironically, that silence earns more respect than any argument ever would. This is the superpower of indifference. It doesn't make you distant, it makes you precise. It trains your emotions to serve your goals, not sabotage them. Every reaction comes at a cost, both in time and energy. And if you spend your energy fighting battles that don't matter, you'll have nothing left for the ones that do. The Stoic does not chase approval. He doesn't fear rejection. He walks forward, eyes on his purpose, unmoved by the noise around him. Look at the people who have built something meaningful, those who have achieved success not by chance, but by discipline. They didn't get there by reacting to gossip, by worrying about who liked them, or by chasing applause. They got there because they were laser-focused, because they learned to care deeply about the right things and to mindfully ignore everything else. To cultivate this mindset, start by observing your own reactions. The next time you feel the pull of frustration, jealousy, or anxiety over something minor, pause. Ask yourself, is this reaction helping me grow? Is it aligned with my values? Most of the time, the answer will be no. That moment of pause becomes your power. It breaks the pattern. It reminds you that not everything deserves a response. Another powerful practice is to set clear internal priorities. Define what truly matters to you, your principles, your peace, your mission. When those things are front and center in your mind, everything else begins to fade into the background. You stop being pulled in every direction. You stop being a puppet for others' opinions. You begin to live on your own terms. The more you strengthen your own self-worth, the less you need the world to validate it. When you're clear about who you are, you don't flinch when someone questions it. You don't crumble under criticism. You don't waste time defending yourself to people who were never really listening in the first place. And when you carry yourself this way, people take notice, not because you tried to impress them, but because you didn't try at all. Mindful indifference is the foundation of emotional resilience. It allows you to walk through life without being drained by every disagreement, every delay, every disapproving glance. It gives you the mental and emotional space to focus, to breathe, to build. In a world that is addicted to reaction, the one who remains unmoved holds the real power. So no, you're not here to please everyone. You're not here to prove yourself to those who misunderstand you. You're here to live with intention, to speak when it matters, to act with purpose, and to stay grounded in the face of noise. And when you do that, when you master the art of mindful indifference, you don't just survive distractions, you transcend them. You rise above the games, the drama, the petty provocations. You stand firm while others chase validation. And in doing so, you gain something few ever will, control over yourself. Section 3, Breaking Free from the Chains of Approval. At some point in our lives, we've all looked outside ourselves for permission to feel worthy. A compliment from a boss, a nod of approval from a parent, a few reassuring words from a friend to remind us that we're enough. But the moment your peace depends on another person's opinion, you've handed over your power. Seeking approval is not just exhausting, it's a quiet form of slavery. You become a reflection of others' expectations rather than the architect of your own identity. True confidence is not granted by applause, it's built in silence, through self-trust and consistent action aligned with your own values. Think of the people you admire most, not for their popularity, but for their presence. They don't shrink to fit in. They don't adjust their truth to win favor. They walk their path with clarity, fully aware that not everyone will understand them, and that's exactly why they are powerful. Their strength lies in their refusal to bend to every opinion. While others chase recognition, they stay rooted in something deeper, self-respect. The need for approval is fueled by fear, fear of being rejected, fear of standing alone, fear of being misunderstood. But here's the truth, trying to please everyone guarantees one thing: you'll lose yourself. You'll start diluting your values, changing your voice, and making decisions not because they're right, but because they're acceptable. And before you know it, your life is no longer your own. Freedom begins the moment you stop chasing acceptance. The Stoics understood this well. They taught that no man should depend on the judgments of others to determine his worth. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that people will have opinions regardless of what you do, so let them. You cannot live freely if every move you make is filtered through the lens of someone else's potential approval or disapproval. Ask yourself, whose opinion truly matters? Whose judgment should carry weight in your life? Often, the loudest critics are those who haven't walked your path, who don't understand your struggles, and who offer opinions from the sidelines without ever stepping into the arena themselves. Their words only have power if you choose to believe them. And that choice, that's where your power lives. Start by validating yourself. Look at how far you've come, how much you've grown, how many challenges you've survived. Celebrate your progress, even if no one else sees it. When you learn to recognize your own worth, external validation loses its grip on you. You stop needing applause because you already know the value of your silence, your effort, and your resilience. This doesn't mean you become arrogant or dismissive of others. It means you stop negotiating your identity. You stand in who you are without apology. You stop explaining your dreams to those who lack the vision to see them. You stop shrinking so that others can feel comfortable around you. You speak truthfully, you walk confidently, and you move with a kind of calm certainty that doesn't beg to be understood. And yes, there will be people who don't support you. There will be those who misunderstand your path or try to talk you out of it. But that's part of the cost of living freely. Approval is not the price you pay for peace, it's the chain you break to earn it. Once you stop needing everyone to agree with you, your world opens up. You begin to act not from fear, but from conviction. Not to impress, but to fulfill your deeper purpose. Consider the innovators, the rebels, the quiet leaders who changed the world. They didn't waste their energy trying to fit in. They weren't obsessed with being liked. They were too focused on the fire burning inside them to be distracted by the noise outside. Their vision made them immune to superficial praise or criticism. They understood that when your path is aligned with your principles, you don't need permission, you just need persistence. So, choose yourself. Not just in theory, but in every action you take. Speak like someone who trusts their own voice. Move like someone who honors their own values. Make decisions like someone who doesn't need the world to clap for them to keep going. That's how you become untouchable. Not because you silenced all your critics, but because their words no longer have the power to decide your worth. And when you live from that place, free from the trap of validation, you carry a kind of presence that can't be bought or faked. People won't respect you because you asked them to, they'll respect you because you didn't need them to. That's what happens when you stop seeking approval and start living with radical self-acceptance. Section 4, The Art of Handling Criticism with Composure. Criticism is not the enemy, our reaction to it is. Most people collapse at the first sign of disapproval. A careless remark, a judgmental stare, a whispered doubt, and suddenly, their confidence crumbles. But why? Criticism is just noise. It's words spoken from someone else's perspective, often shaped by their own fears, biases, or limitations. And yet, we treat it like a verdict. We let it penetrate our self-worth, dictate our next move, and determine how we see ourselves. That is the real danger. The Stoics taught that it's not what is said about us that harms us, but how we choose to process it. When you take criticism personally, you surrender your peace. When you respond with clarity and detachment, you take back control. The strongest individuals don't overreact. They don't get defensive. They don't chase approval. They assess. They filter. They learn, or they let go. No wasted emotion. No wasted time. Not all criticism is the same. There is constructive criticism, which comes from those who genuinely care about your growth. It may be hard to hear, but it's valuable. Then there is destructive criticism, the kind designed to tear you down, often rooted in jealousy, insecurity, or ignorance. The key is learning to tell the difference. Constructive feedback typically comes from people with experience, with insight, with a genuine interest in your progress. Destructive feedback, on the other hand, often comes from those who haven't walked your path, don't understand your vision, and frequently project their own limitations onto you. Imagine a sculptor at work. Day by day, he chisels away at a block of stone, shaping it into something meaningful. As he works, passers-by stop to comment. Some admire his craftsmanship. Some offer useful suggestions on how to improve a certain angle. Others scoff, unable to see the masterpiece that is still taking shape within the rough stone. But the sculptor doesn't stop. He doesn't get into arguments. He doesn't abandon his work to please the critics who can't see what he sees. He continues, focused, grounded, guided by his own hands and his own vision. This is how we must learn to face criticism. Ask yourself, when someone criticizes you, do they have the knowledge to offer useful insight? Have they earned the right to shape your perspective? If the answer is yes, then listen carefully. Extract the value. Apply what helps you grow. If the answer is no, then thank them silently and move on. Their words are only as powerful as you allow them to be. Most of the time, criticism is not a reflection of you, it's a mirror of the critic's internal world. Some people cannot stand to see others move forward, especially when they feel stuck themselves. Their words are often laced with bitterness, not wisdom. And when you react emotionally, you validate their power over you. But when you respond with calm indifference, you reveal your own. Great thinkers, creators, and leaders throughout history were all criticized. Their ideas were doubted, their character questioned, their motives misread. And yet, they endured. They didn't let criticism derail them. In fact, it often strengthened their resolve because they understood this simple truth: criticism is the price of progress. If no one is criticizing you, you're probably not doing anything worth noticing. To master this mindset, begin with stillness. When someone criticizes you, pause. Don't react immediately. Don't launch into a defense fueled by emotion. Instead, observe. Ask, is this useful? Does this reveal something I need to see? If yes, learn from it. If not, discard it. Let it fall away like dead leaves from a strong tree. Your focus is your lifeline, don't let someone else's opinion break it. Another powerful tool is inner conviction. When you truly believe in your path, you don't need constant reassurance from the outside world. You move forward not because everyone agrees with you, but because you know why you began. Confidence that is built from within cannot be shaken by voices from the outside. That kind of confidence is quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. The world will always have something to say. Some will praise you, some will mock you, and most will simply misunderstand you. But you don't owe anyone an explanation. You owe yourself a life lived with courage and intention. So the next time you're criticized, remind yourself that it's just noise. Use what serves you. Ignore what doesn't. And never, ever let someone's passing opinion become your permanent identity. Section 5, The Unshakable Power of Silence. In a world addicted to noise, silence is a rare and commanding force. Most people talk because they're uncomfortable with the quiet. They speak to fill space, to prove they belong, to gain quick validation. But the truly powerful understand the value of restraint. They don't waste words. They don't chase reactions. They speak only when it matters. And because of that, every word they say lands with weight and impact. Silence unsettles people. It interrupts the rhythm they've come to expect in social interactions. When someone speaks and you don't respond right away, they begin to overthink. They start questioning their own words, their intentions, even their standing in the room. That pause you give them, that moment of uncertainty, shifts the balance of power. You are no longer reacting to them, they are adjusting themselves to you. The Stoics saw silence not as an absence but as a strength. It is the discipline of holding your center when others are trying to pull you out of it. When you're silent, you are listening. You are observing. And, more importantly, you are not giving away your power. Words reveal, but silence conceals. And within that concealment lies a subtle but undeniable influence. Imagine you're in a negotiation. The other party makes an offer and expects a quick response, a counteroffer, some form of immediate engagement. Instead of replying, you pause. You breathe. You allow the silence to stretch. In that moment, they become uneasy. They start talking more, filling the void. They might even sweeten the offer, trying to fill the gap you've created. That silence becomes your leverage. And you didn't have to say a single word. This isn't about manipulation, it's about presence. It's choosing not to respond out of impulse, but from a place of calm advantage. The same principle applies in everyday interactions. If someone insults you, they are hoping for a reaction, anger, defense, retaliation. But if you remain still, if you stay silent, they're left with nothing to feed on. That silence forces them to reflect, to sit with their own discomfort. And most of the time, that silence says far more than any comeback ever could. It tells them, unequivocally, that they do not have power over you. Silence also sharpens your awareness. When you're not focused on what you're going to say next, you begin to notice everything: the tension in someone's voice, the shift in their eyes, the subtle cracks in their logic. These are the details most people miss because they're too busy performing, too caught up in the dance of conversation. But when you master silence, you become the one who watches, who reads the room, who sees more than what's being said. The Stoic way is not about always being quiet, but about being intentional. Speaking less doesn't mean knowing less, it means understanding more. It means choosing your words like a craftsman, not like a machine. The world's most respected figures don't dominate conversations with volume, they influence them with their presence. When they speak, people listen, because they know those words weren't spoken lightly. To build this kind of presence, begin by practicing restraint. In your next conversation, resist the urge to fill every gap. Pause. Listen. Let the other person reveal themselves. Notice how much more you understand when you're not rushing to respond. Notice how the room shifts when you speak with calm intention rather than nervous energy. And in moments of high emotion, silence becomes your shield. When you're angry, stay silent. When someone demands an instant reply, stay silent. That silence protects you from saying something you'll later regret. It gives you the precious time to assess, to breathe, to remain in control. Discipline begins with your tongue, and nothing demands more discipline than silence in moments of pressure. Over time, this practice becomes natural. You stop reacting to every situation. You stop offering explanations to those who don't deserve them. You don't feel the need to defend your choices. Your silence becomes your statement. And the world begins to respond differently to you. They lean in. They listen. They wonder. This is how true influence is built, not through noise, but through the quiet strength that others can't shake. You become unpredictable, unreadable, and deeply respected. Not because you demanded attention, but because your silence made them feel it. Conclusion: the stillness that wins. The moment you stop chasing approval and begin living from your center, something powerful shifts. You no longer need to explain yourself. You no longer flinch when you're misunderstood. And that quiet certainty you carry begins to speak for you. People will notice. They'll wonder how you stay so calm when others lose control, how you remain composed in moments that would shake anyone else. And you won't need to answer, because you'll have become the answer. You didn't master this by talking about it, you lived it, and that's what sets you apart. We've journeyed through the core tenets of a Stoic-inspired mindset, one that teaches us to act as if nothing bothers us. We've explored the strength of emotional detachment, the superpower of mindful indifference, the freedom that comes from breaking the chains of approval, the art of handling criticism with composure, and the unshakable power of silence. Each of these principles is a tool, a practice, a step on the path toward building an unshakable mind. This is not a call to become unfeeling or distant. It is a call to become the master of your inner world, to cultivate a stillness so profound that the chaos of the outside world cannot disturb your peace. It is a reminder that your calm is your power. In a world that is constantly trying to pull you in a million different directions, your ability to remain grounded, to stay true to your own principles, is your greatest strength. The journey to an unshakable mind is not a destination, it's a daily practice. It's built in the small moments, the pause before a reaction, the deep breath in the face of frustration, the conscious choice to let go of what you cannot control. It's in these moments that you forge the resilience that will carry you through the storms of life. So, as you go forward from this moment, carry this with you: you have the power to choose your response. You have the power to protect your peace. You have the power to walk through life with a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken. Let the world be loud. Let others chase fleeting validation. You are on a different path, a path of inner strength, of quiet mastery, of unshakable calm. And on that path, you will find a freedom that few ever know. Stillness wins.